Hey guys, this is AwesomeJohn22, and today we're taking a look at, I think, one of the best figures from the Transformers animated line, just in terms of sheer quality. Transformers animated Voyager class Optimus Prime, as you can see here before me. A very cool figure who I cannot wait to talk about with you guys. So let's just, right off the bat, go ahead and get him transformed up through the magic of jump cuts. And here we have Optimus in his vehicle mode, and as you can see, like with the majority of the animated toys, let me adjust my light. His proportions and his look are very spot on the on-screen counterpart, except for this back section. And this is far from the only Optimus Prime mold we got. There were deluxe molds and a activators mold and a ultra mold and just all kinds of Optimus Primes. I think this one looks the best though in pretty much every category except for this. And while I appreciate it that they gave us some kind of trailer here, this is supposed to make him resemble the fire engine that he appeared as a couple times during the show. I don't particularly like it, so usually I just leave it off, and it is made up of this big section and the gun, which he can hold in robot mode. I'll just set them to the side for now though. And you have just Optimus Prime, and he looks good, he rolls well. He doesn't really have any obvious kibble, except these are clearly legs, but I mean, they were clearly legs in the show too, and it works. This is how he looked in the show. These are the proportions he had. So I can't complain about it at all. It looks fantastic. It looks just spot on what you would expect him to. As with most Transformers animated figures, he's simple but effective, and I absolutely love it. It's kind of like what the new RID line seems to be heading towards, and it's great. Looking at him close up, you can see he has some really great silver paint there along the sides. He does have paint here on the front as well. There's some silver around the lights as well as yellow on the lights themselves. He has some yellow, I guess there's would be turn signals or fog lights down there. Clear plastic for his, a little dusty, for his sirens. Clear plastic with these really cool technical etchings that I'm not really sure where the idea for that came from, but it looks pretty nifty. There in his windows. Let's see, is that actually silver on his rims? Yeah, it's actually silver on his rims too, which is very nice. And overall, you can see more yellow details. Overall, just really, really cool looking. Very, like I said, simple but effective aesthetically and in terms of engineering, in terms of everything. He's just really, really cool. Good size too. You can see him here next to a couple of other Transformers of this same size class. You can see Classics Optimus Prime over here is about the same size, which is nice because they kind of look like they would scale together. You have Starscream over here, who is quite a bit bigger than Optimus Prime, which is, let's see if I can zoom out anymore. I cannot, so let's back him up a little bit. There we go. You can see is quite a bit longer than Optimus Prime. They're just, the size difference between these two is just perfect. I mean, a jet is going to be a lot bigger than a truck, and I mean, that's great. And that's one of the things that animated typically did really well, was scale their figures similarly to how the characters themselves would be scaled in the show. We have him here next to another plane as well, because I'm getting ready to film the review of this guy, and well, I'm going to dump on him a lot, so I figured I'd use him for a size comparison to kind of make up for it. That is, of course, animated Lugnut, who is also a Voyager class, and he's a B-2 bomber, so he should be like enormous, but he's, you know, only barely longer than Optimus. But still, not too bad, I guess, all things considered. But anyway, yeah, simple but effective, good size. I love it. It's nice and solid, got a nice heft to it. Just a really great toy. As with the aesthetics, the transformation is also simple but effective. You fold this bumper down and then split it which allows you to bring it out like so, and kind of accordion it back. But first, before we do that, we have to split the legs and rotate these wheels around to the inside, like so, giving us room to bring these sections in, and then these gray pieces will kind of slot into these holes on the back of the leg, but not really. It's just to kind of give it a little bit of extra, I don't know, stability, even though it doesn't really do much. Next, we're going to come here, and there's a lever on his back, and I can't remember, I think it goes up. You pull it, or push it, rather, because I was wrong. And it's supposed to swing this around down into place. Mine doesn't quite do it anymore, but you still have to press the lever to kind of loosen everything. Next, fold his feet out, and then we're going to extend his legs, which gives him some really great added height, let me tell you. Moving up top, we now take this section, the light bar, and just rotate it back, and come down here and separate these panels, which allows us to unfold the arms, like so. And then come in here, bring out his hands, and then they will clip into those panels, which some people don't do that, but I always do, because otherwise I'm worried the panels will break off. There we go, just like so. And then I like to then lower these down a bit so they have clearance to rotate forward and whatnot. Next we bring up the head, and then we just bring up this back section flush with the back of the figure. And there we have Transformers Animated Voyager class Optimus Prime in his robot mode. And as I mentioned in my animated leader class bulkhead review, Optimus Prime is quite large. Here we have him next to a modern Voyager, another version of Optimus Prime, which is also pretty tall, and you can see they're the same height, and that's rather impressive. As with his vehicle mode, you can see he captures the look of his on-screen counterpart perfectly with the big chin. Great light piping in the optics, as you can see there. Color's good. The proportions are great. Great paint apps. Great plastic color. Just great. Just great overall. And I mean, yeah, this is, as I mentioned before, there have been a lot of Optimus Primes in the animated line, and this one is just, slipped a little bit, this one is just amazing. I mean, look at that, just look at it, it's animated Optimus Prime, you cannot deny that. He also has a gimmick here on the back. You can actually lower the faceplate, and I almost forgot to show this off, because I almost forgot it was there. You can actually lower the faceplate and see his non-faceplated face underneath there. That's just brilliant, and it gives the best of both worlds, because ever since the movie, when Optimus Prime didn't always have a faceplate, there have always been people who wanted figures of Optimus Prime with the faceplate, people who wanted figures of Optimus Prime without the faceplate, people who wanted both options to be available, and this gives us both of those options, and I think that's the happy medium that we have to reach in that kind of situation, and I think it's brilliant, and it's not perfect, but it's great, it's good enough that I think it's a great feature. In terms of articulation, he of course has full 360 degree at the shoulder. He can of course raise his arm quite a bit. He can lower his arm quite a bit as well, but that doesn't really matter. Rotate at the bicep, bend at the elbow. He can rotate at the waist, but it's on this mechanism, so I mean, I don't really count it. Full range of motion at the hips, which that doesn't actually rotate further than that, but he can move all the way out. He can bring his leg all the way forward, all the way back, and he bends just shy of 90 degrees at the knee, and his head does rotate a full 360 and do the Exorcist twist, and he can look up technically by kind of partially transforming him, but again, I don't really count that, just like I don't really count his toesy movements, because they're all there for transformation. They're not there to add anything to the posability. But overall, a great figure. Absolutely typical of the Transformers animated toy line. Just gorgeous, and I love it. And real quick, before I get into his weapons, I did mention that I liked his size next to Classic Optimus Prime, so I felt they could scale together. But as you can see here, with the two Voyager class renditions of Optimus Prime side by side, animated Optimus Prime ends up being about a head taller. So while it's still not bad, I kind of wish they were exactly the same height. I think that would be kind of nifty, since they are both clearly very heavily inspired by Generation 1 Optimus Prime. In terms of Optimus Prime's accessories, we actually already saw them. I mentioned this is a gun, and it just plugs in like that, even though on screen on the show, Optimus never actually used a blaster, as far as I can remember. And you also have this whole assembly here, which unfolds into an axe, sort of, but I hate this. And there is, of course, the Deluxe class version's axe, which very, very closely resembles the one on the show and is much, much better for this. And of course I don't have it, so I have to settle with this thing, which I usually just peg on to his back and, I don't know, kind of fold this forward, I guess, like that, and ignore and pretend it's not there. Yeah, I typically just leave that on his back and then pretend it's not there, because it looks terrible. Though it doesn't look too bad on his back. It kind of looks like he has wings, which is pretty nifty. I do not have the upgrade kit for him that gives him the final episode decked out super mode appearance. I do plan on getting it eventually, though. Even though the figure that it comes with is pretty expensive now, and I mean, I'm already happy with this guy as he is. I still want to get it so I can show it off to you guys and show off the alternate version of this guy that comes with it, even though I don't really like that he's made of translucent plastic. That just kind of bugs me out. But, yeah, so that's it. Aside from his accessories being kind of lackluster, I think this is an absolutely fantastic rendition of the character, and absolutely the best one you can get for your collection, especially if you were at all concerned with scale, because he scales pretty much perfectly with pretty much every figure in the line. And I just could, I mean, aside from a more show-accurate axe, I couldn't really ask for more from this guy. Anyway, that's about it for this review, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it, because I certainly enjoyed making it. So please do remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below if you feel so inclined. In the description down below, you will find links to all the other things I'm working on. Please check those things out, including the collections video there, which still haven't updated it, but I'm working on it. But if you do see anything in the collections video that you would like me to review, let me know and I will see what I can do. This has been Awesome John 22, and I will talk to you guys later.